hello, hello, how are you? This is Elskimmy from Beeman's Crafty Corner, and today we have something completely different. Hubbard and I and, the Ami and the Sash, we all go outside and we sit out there, and as it gets colder, we have a fire pit, so we're nice and warm. We have a heater, we're nice and warm. But the doggies lay on the ground, and the doggies are not so warm. And my Gigi, well, she's getting old. And I've noticed that, getting up off the ground out there is kind of getting hard for her. And I'm going to take that, she's cold. So I decided I'm going to do a project for my fur babies, show you guys how to do it. You can do it for your fur babies. And if you don't have any fur babies, but you still want to do this, this is something that would be fantastic that you can make up pretty easy. It's not that expensive. And take it over to your local animal shelter. So let's talk about what we're going to be using. The first thing we are going to be using is this. This is from Joann's. Make It, Give It. This is a no-sew or sew throw kit. And, they have directions on how to put it together. But we're going to use it completely different. The only reason that I bought this is because it's $7.99. And, of course, I had a coupon. Because I love a coupon. But it gives me two different kinds of fleece. It gives me the plain color and it gives me the animal print. And so I'm going to use that. And this is Project Fleece from Polyfill. And this is a small crib size piece of basically quilt batting. 45 by 60 inches. And it was clearanced at the Hobby Lobby. Normally it's $8.99. I got it for $2.37. And I can make 2 doggy blankies for big dogs out of this. So I grabbed that. And we have this. This is Pellon product. You guys know Pellon. We use the Heat and Bond all the time. And the Pellon has a regular variety that's pretty much the same as the Heat and Bond. This is called Loft Volume Fleece. And you'll notice that it's a little shiny. That's because it's reflective. This is the same thing that I put inside a pot holder. So I have pots that have metal handles. And my grandkids kept burning their hands because they didn't think about it, and they would like cook something and then they would grab it. So I make these to fit over the handle on my pans so that they can pick them up without them, burning their hands. They also work on curling irons too. But there's, a couple of layers of material here, but the important part is this. Excuse me. So I'm going to take you guys to the other room where I cut fabric on my big cut board. And we're going to cut this down, and then I'm going to show you how to put the sandwich together on how to put the, how to make this. Then off camera, I'll stitch it all together, except for the end. There's a little bit of hand sewing here, about 6 inches. And we're going to turn it right side out, and we're going to stitch it. And then I'm going to show you how to kind of yarn tie it so that it doesn't shift around. And we're going to make some blankies for the dogs. So I'm going to move everything out to the other room, and I will be right back to show you how to cut this, stack it, and get it put together. I'll be right back. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 pieces that I just cut, and I'm just going to line up the selvages. That's the curled edge, okay? Pretty easy to find it on fleece. And then I'm going to fold this in half because I just want to make sure that I've got, see, even pieces. Okay. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So I have that edge, and then this edge down here. So that's going to be basically the size of my doggy blanket, okay? And then I have to cut the other pieces. So we're going to get our fleece. Now this does come in different lofts, and it's like thickness. So you need to decide how thick you want this to be. Or how thick. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put my fleece on my cutting board. Wow. And then I'm going to take my fabric, open it up, put it back on here. And I want this to be pretty close. And then we're going to cut this. You guys are hearing the fish tank, and I apologize, but it's out here. So that's that part, and then we're going to do the reflective part. We're going to do the same thing with that. We're just going to open it up. I'm going to get a piece that's wide enough. And then I'm going to get a piece that's enough across. And that's all of our pieces. We have all of our pieces cut. And the next part of this is going to be creating our sandwich. So, last part I have to cut is this piece of fleece that we folded in half, because remember, I'm making 2 blankets. There we go. All right, so backing, the pellon, 2 layers of the fleece, and then 1 layer of the quilt batting. That's what we need, okay? And we are going to create a sandwich out of this, so that when we turn this right side out, we have fleece on the outside, fleece on the inside, front and back, and then our batting and our reflective, okay? So we're going to turn the reflective over, fleece over. Okay, get everything lined up nice. So, right sides together. Same thing with the reflective. Put the right side facing down. And the quilt batting doesn't matter. Okay? Then I'm going to pin this all together, and we're going to sew. But I'm going to leave about 6 inches, top, bottom, side, doesn't matter, but in the center, not towards the corner, towards the center. We're going to leave 6 inches open, okay? So let's go, and I'm going to stitch this, and then I'm going to show you the rest of it, okay? I'll be back. Okay, so this is not the best angle, but I just wanted to cover a few things real quick. One, you can see here I have an X in my pins. That's where I start, and that's where I stop. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in, and I want to give myself like pretty close to an inch, all right? So I'm just going to put it in. I'm going to drop the pressure foot. I'm going to go ahead and put the needle in, and I'm just going to sew around. I'm going to come all the way to the corner. I'm going to drop my needle. I'm going to turn and keep going. That's pretty much what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to go all the way around, and when I get to the end, I'll break the I'll cut my threads. I'll back stitch on both ends, and then we're going to be turning this. So I'll be back in just a minute to show you where we're at. So I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any pins. And I am going to make sure that I have stitched all the way through all the layers all the way around. Okay. And then I'm going to cut off the corners. Sort of the same way we do when we do a book cover. Okay. Just making sure that I don't hit my threads. All right. Now, I'm going to find my opening. And I'm going in between the 2 layers of the fleece. And I'm going to grab the furthest corner. And I'm going to pull this back through. Okay. All right. I'm just going to work these corners out as best I can, and I find that something that works really well for this is to use my ruler, and I just go back in through the hole that I left, and you have to be a little bit careful because of the batting here, but if you just go in and you kind of work that with a ruler, you can get some pretty nice corners. They don't have to be perfect, but you know, nice. All right, so now I have my corners. And I'm going to need to close this. So what I do is I just kind of let it naturally roll like this. Now you can whip this by hand, or since we're going to stitch around here anyway, you can just pin this and then run it back through your machine. Now remember, I'm going to be sewing through a lot here. And we want to kind of stay in this ditch. So this is probably easiest to do by hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread a needle, and I'm going to be back to show you how to do this by hand the easiest way I know how. Okay? I'll be right back. All right, so I have threaded a needle with about 2.5 feet of thread here. And what I'm going to do is in my opening here, I'm going to come up from the inside. So I'm just going to kind of put the needle in there and come up. And that's going to allow me to hide that knot inside. You know, so it doesn't catch on anything, because you don't want them to catch their nails or something in there, you know. And then what I'm going to do is that's on the back side. So I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm just going to take a little stitch about a 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to make sure I get both pieces of what's on the front side. Okay, I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to come back just behind it. All right, so here's where I came up, and I'm going to come back on the other side just behind it and come out just past it. Okay, and then again on the other side we're going to go just behind it and come out just past it. And you'll notice that you cannot see my stitches. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way across till I get to the other side of my opening. I'm not going to pull my stitching too tight. And normally I would use a smaller needle for this, but since I'm showing everybody how to do this, I need to use a bigger needle that everybody can see. All right, so just behind, come out just in front of it. Just behind, coming out just in front of it. Always going to the opposite side of the fabric. So when I get to the end, I'm going to take a tiny stitch and then a tiny little stitch on the other side. And then I'm going to take the part that's coming out, and I'm going to wrap that once, twice, 3 times around my needle, pull through, okay, and then I'm going to bury this. And how I'm going to bury it is I'm just going to take my needle, I'm going to push it into my seam, and I'm going to come out over here. Okay, I'm going to pull that nice and tight, snip it, and then my thread disappears. Okay, all right, so we have that all the way around. I'll be right back. All right, so now that we have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I've got as much of this stretched out as I can. Just kind of check these. You can't really iron this. Because fleece doesn't iron. It burns and melts. So we're just going to make sure that we've got this as nicely pulled out as we can all the way around. And the easiest way to do that is just kind of roll it between your fingers. There's that seam that we sewed, and you really can't even tell. Okay. Oh, this is going to be so comfy and warm. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch about half an inch in. So I'm just going to kind of put a pin in where I want that to be. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And now I'm going to be sewing through 8 layers here. 2, 6, yeah, 8. So I'm going to have to really kind of work on my machine. Normally I would use a walking foot for this, but I do not have a walking foot that fits this machine, and I don't want to go out and get another one out of the garage, because there's a lot of machines out there, and I have walker feet for every one but this one, because this is it's actually my paper machine that we're using today, just because it happens to be the one that's here, you know. It was handy, so I grabbed it. All right, so I'm going to pin this all the way around, and then I'm going to stitch it, and then when I come back, I'm going to show you how to do this as a knot quilt. All right, so we're going to be stitching through this just to kind of hold it in place. And so this is plastic canvas yarn, and I'm not going to take it off of there. And what I'm using is an upholstery repair needle, and I don't know if you guys can see that nasty, gnarly looking tip. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start by measuring my distance here. So I'm just going to take my ruler, and I want to do it like, let's see, we're at 12. Just roughing this. About 26. So let's go 7 inches. And I'm going from the stitch line. And then you're just going to put a little mark here. And you can use chalk or whatever you want. I'm going to be using this. This is a water-soluble pencil that will come off with just a little wiping. 7. I think that's pretty good. And then we've got 12, about 18 and a half. So let's do this one about I don't know, about 9 inches. Because this one is about 5. So let's do 5 from the other side. So about there. That's about 8 and a half. And about 8 and a half. And then we're going to go here about 8 and a half. Right about there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this gnarly looking needle and I'm going to go through all the layers. Thinking that should be good enough. And then I'm going to go right back up about ½ an inch away, if that. Okay? I'm going to leave myself about 4 inches, right over left, left over right. I'm going to tie a good knot. I'm going to cut that thread. And I'm going to do the same thing on all 5 of the other marks. We're going to go down, pull it through, about a 1/2 inch over, come back up. Ourselves about 4 inches, right over left, left over right. There we go. And I'm going to finish this off, and I'll be right back to show you what it looks like all finished. All right, so all my stitching is in, and I'm going to take these down to about 1 inch, give or take. And they're just double knotted. Excuse me. And I did decide to put 2 extra stitches in the middle, because Ginger's kind of a fussy sleeper. She likes to, I think she dreams about running in her sleep. All right, so let's see. So this is 28, so just over 2 feet long, and about 21 inches wide, okay, which is perfectly fine for my giant male lab. This is the right size for them because, you know, they curl up in a little ball. So this is for them, and I'll be making a second one for my second puppy. Now, as an added, you know, Mike and I camp, and we take the puppies with us. And so these are great to take with us when we go camping. It just gives the puppies someplace that's theirs, you know, and it's familiar and it's like home. And if you wanted to, if you were going to do that, you could stitch some ribbon into the side, and then you can roll this up and tie it up with the ribbon, or you could make it like a handle and you can hang these up. That's entirely up to you, but it is a great little trick. But that's it. That's the whole thing. It's all done. So, you know, this will be for my puppies for outside so they don't get cold, because I don't like it when they get cold, and it makes a great great present for Christmas for, you know, a puppy, you know, for mommy or for daddy, you know, for a parent. But it does make a cute little little gift for them. So that's it. That's all I have for you. Listen, if you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that button for me and subscribe. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and then your friends will be my friends will be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends before you know it. Giant crafting community. I do go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And let's see. I try to post videos twice a week, typically on Monday and Wednesday. Just depends. Sometimes that gets altered. Sometimes I post more than that. But that is pretty much everything I have. If you want to know what I have coming up as far as tutorials and videos and things like that, go ahead and check my community tab here at YouTube, or follow the link in the description box below. Go over to my Facebook group and check it out over there. I update both of those on the regular. And that's it. Till I see you again, stay well. Bye-bye.